In this video, I'm going to be talking about the lesson plan project for ITEC 7430. I'll start with a brief overview of the project. The project was a school improvement project focused on the digital divide within the school. In this project, we focused on the lack of available devices. It was an authentic learning experience because this was a real-world issue. It was also problem-based learning. The project took place over a 2-week time period. The class minutes were approximately 50 minutes long. And there was 3 Algebra 1 classes that took part in this project, and the majority of those students were 9th grade students. The first part of the project focused on the students constructing surveys to administer to different groups within the school. The students could use technology such as Google Forms, which is what you see on the screen, or they could use Formative, which is another type of survey or response system that they could use. This is not a particular survey that was constructed, but you can see here it does provide a variety of different ways that the evaluee can respond to the survey. Once the students got their survey results back, they could use spreadsheets such as Google Sheets to create bivariate tables. And in this case, as you can see, we can change one number and it changes numbers in all the tables. All right, so this helps them with their calculation. Of course, they could also use Microsoft Excel or even Apple's Numbers pages to create these tables and do the calculations. Once they got the data back and they were able to look at it, then they began researching different solutions for the digital divide that was happening. Things like bring your own device, funding for additional Chromebooks, things like that. During that research, they were required to collaborate, and they could use different resources like Jamboard. Jamboard, we could set up a Jamboard for each particular group, and then they could put their ideas in little sticky notes on the Jamboard here, and they could all collaborate and share ideas. They could also use Google Keep, which would allow them to pin things from the internet, and then they could collaborate or share that with other people within their group. Whenever they weren't at school, they could also collaborate through Google Hangouts, being able to message back and forth and share ideas. Once they kind of agreed on a solution, what they had to do is they had to create an artifact to present some of the data and then also to present their possible solution. All right, and to create that artifact, they could use Canva, where they could make flyers or presentations or infographics. They could also use Pictochart, where they could do the same thing. They can make posters, infographics, presentations. They could record videos on Flipgrid. They could also make presentations, slideshows like that using Adobe Spark. So they had a lot of choices here on the type of artifact that they could create. They were evaluated using rubrics. In particular, this rubric was for the overall project. They were first assessed on their surveys. Then they were assessed on the bivariate tables. So those were kind of 2 checkpoints they had to make it past in order to kind of keep moving on. We made corrections there based on feedback to make the survey questions better before they sent the surveys out. And we also gave feedback to improve the calculations of the bivariate table. And then for their artifact, depending on what type of artifact they made, there was a rubric for posters and infographics, and there was also a rubric for videos and presentations. They also were evaluated using peer evaluation forms. I didn't deviate from the lesson plan too much just because there was a crunch for time there, especially with the EOCs coming up. I did allow students to come back to my classroom during my planning period to work on their projects, just to give them some additional time to work and get some one-on-one assistance with the technology. Lesson plan improvements included, I would want to introduce the technology earlier in the year, just to give those kids more time and practice with the technology before attempting a project like this. I'd also allow the students to choose their own topic or issues to address. That way they take more ownership in it and it's more student-centered, more student-driven. All right, but this is my project. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm eager to get your feedback. Thank you.